Oh, hey everybody. It's just me, Jay Glazer, eating some delicious Fisher's popcorn for episode 31 of Guidance by Glazer. We were graced with some Fisher's popcorn from one of our clients down in Maryland earlier this week. Same day I ripped my pants open. Done with that. And so, of course, I found myself eating some before this episode. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here with episode 31 of Guidance by Glazer. And today we are going to talk about a super important topic. You should be listening in right now. If you don't know that I'm live, figure out a way to find out that I'm live. Get on here. I think I just spit out some popcorn. It's delicious. Get on here and let's talk about how to determine if it's time to make a price adjustment on one of your properties, or if you are a owner on your property. Right now, we have seen a fairly dramatic new normal and a new shift in the market, something that I've spent a lot of the year talking about, but we're very much living in it now. And quite frankly, if you want to sell your home, you have to shift to the marketplace. It's as simple as that. And so we want to talk to you today about when you kind of can sense it's time to make a price adjustment. So I'm going to give you about 5 examples or 5 hints, if you will, to figure out when it's time. And the first one goes like so. So make sure that you are reviewing the ratio of time on market to the number of showings. Now, that sounds complicated, but it's really not. What that means is, as you progress time on market, how is the activity on your home? Simple as that. Questions you want to be asking yourself. Are you getting a lot of showings, but no offers? Are you not really having showings, and therefore the pace is incredibly slow? You have to be very mindful. Now, for us on the Glazer team, the way we keep our sellers informed is a very comprehensive bi-weekly market reports. But at the end of the day, it's the seller's decision what they want to do, but we try to provide as much information as humanly possible to our clients. And if you are interested in seeing what that's like, if you're a prospective seller or just curious what our Glazer team market report looks like for our sellers, shoot us a message, drop us a comment, text us, Instagram us, whatever you want to do. Send us some information about you, and we will happily get that over to you. Just a quick disclaimer about point number 1, which is, despite the fact that you really do have to pay attention to what's happening with your home on the marketplace, there are always outliers and exceptions. We had a listing once upon a time at a building where we actually have a apartment on the market right now called 100 West 12th Street, and we had a listing that I knew was properly priced, and I knew we would sell it for a very good price. Why? Because we were very much in tune with what was happening with it. And what was happening was we were having about 3 to 5 showings consistently per week. Now, after a little while, again, back to the time on market ratio, after a little while, typically interest tapers off. And in this instance, interest didn't taper off. And I knew, why are we getting so many showings but not offers? But I knew something was going to change. And actually, almost after 6 months on the market, we had multiple offers on the property. So there are always exceptions to every rule. And I just wanted to put that out there. Point number 2, the market will always dictate the level of interest. And the level of interest is usually determined by how much value buyers see in your home. There's a really good expression we've been using, and it's very much prevalent in our ecosystem that we're involved in, which is, if it's not compelling, it's not selling. If it's not compelling, it's not selling. Now, how do you make something compelling? There are really 2 instances. The first, which we're not really going to talk about today, is it a unique enough property? Now, New York City has a ton of homes, obviously, and some amazing homes, but at the end of the day, we live in vertical housing. And vertical housing means that this apartment is basically the same as that apartment. Now, you can change some interior renovations, and the view does change, and those are nuances that we'll talk about on another video. But having said that, it's the same apartment on a different floor. So it doesn't necessarily make it unique. Now, if you're a penthouse or a garden apartment or something that's dramatically exceptional, then maybe the reason it sells is it's compelling from a uniqueness perspective. But what I'm talking about here today is it compelling from a value and pricing perspective? So if the market is saying your home is not of value, that means you're probably not getting a lot of showings on the property. And if you're not getting a lot of showings on the property, in reality, you're probably overpriced. So very simply, no value equals no showings equals no offers equals overpriced. So moving right along. Always understand the marketplace in which you are trying to sell your home, right? So that means you have to review what's happening to other people's homes. It seems simple enough, but it's actually a little bit counterintuitive. You're so hyper-focused on my home. What's happening to my home? Of course you don't care about what's happening to other people's homes. You shouldn't care what's happening to other people's homes, but you need to care with what's happening with other people's homes, because their process and their sale ability is dictating what's happening with your home. So what does that mean? Does it mean that the other homes in the marketplace are sitting too long? If they're sitting a very long time too, maybe it's a general market condition and you accept the fact that the market has changed. That's why we're here having this conversation to begin with. But what happens if other properties are moving and yours isn't? That probably means your home is out of line price-wise. Again, back to the last point, value equals sellability. So understand that a price adjustment might actually have to occur in almost all circumstances. On the one hand, if other homes are sitting like yours, you have to adjust the price to be more compelling. On the flip side, if other homes are moving and you see that there's maybe a delta in price, you might have to adjust yours to get to their level and to get to their sellability. We just literally like 30 minutes ago put a home into contract that we adjusted the price of about 7%. The minute we adjusted the price, we had a massive uptick in interest, and we were able to put the home into contract within 2% of our new asking price. Why is that important? That's a very clear scientific example of when you get to the right price, the home will sell. So always adjust your price accordingly, and then the home will sell depending on the market conditions. The third point, or the fourth point, honestly at this point I've lost track. We provide you so much value, I can't even keep it all contained in this cranium of mine. It's like a size 75 cranium. The next point is understand major economic or seasonal impact. So we spent a lot of time the last couple years talking about the tax reform, right? The difference, the current regime's tax reform and how that might have an impact on the market. That's what I would say an economic impact. So if there's something that's going to change from, say, 2018, 2019, you need to be mindful of that in the time frame in which you're looking to sell your home. At the same time, seasonality, right? We are in the fall market. It's a great time to be selling your home. It's lovely outside, although it has been raining like crazy. It's too much. But we're in a really good time in the market to be on the market. And so knowing that, say, Thanksgiving is 2 months away, let's call it, or Christmas is 3 months away, you know that at that time, a lot of people will sideline their search. So always pay attention to what's happening in the market, because if you know that a certain selling season is upon you, you need to amend the price to ensure that you get the right set of eyes on your home, and that the real buyers who are out there shopping are going to see the new price of your home before they lose interest. The next point is more kind of global, and it's really important if you're a seller in the marketplace to accept this fate that not everything is in your control, and that is there is no universal rule for timing, meaning when do you adjust the price? Some people might argue you adjust the price within the first 2 weeks of listing. We saw a property go on the market in a building we recently sold. I won't get into the details because it's not our exclusive. We saw a property go on the market 2 weeks ago. And the first thing I said to my team when it went on the market is, this is overpriced. How do we know that? Well, first of all, it's a block away from where I live, and I'm intimately familiar with that marketplace. Second of all, as I just said, we sold in the building, so we are the last people to transact in that building. And third of all, well, we just know our shit. So the reality is they dropped the price after 2 weeks. Some people will drop the price after 2 months. Other people, maybe a little bit more stubborn, maybe holding out for that price that they're never going to get, will drop the price after 2 years. The reality is you have to factor in what your motivation is, your eagerness to sell, and the fact that a home that sits on the market too long becomes stale. So always pay attention to those components in order to make sure that you get your home sold, because if you're letting it linger and linger and linger, your chances of selling it go down and down. Now, this next point is also very hard sometimes for people to accept, but is so, so, so important if you are watching and listening out there. And that is, it is almost impossible to underprice your home because the market will bring it back up. I'm going to repeat that because some people will not understand. It is almost impossible to underprice your home because the market will bring it back up. Now, the simplest way I can explain that is if you think of classic auction mentality. When someone puts something up for auction, say a piece of art, A Picasso is not valued at $1, or let's call it $1 million, right? I don't want to insult Mr. Pablo. I'm sure his art is worth gazillions of dollars. But if a Pablo Picasso piece is estimated at $10 million, they might start the bidding at $1 million. Now, every single person in the room knows that the value of the Picasso is not $1 million. But because they see value, again, going back to value, they see that there's an opportunity. What if I can get this for a lower price? People jump in with their bids. And then the price gets adjusted upwards. Now, occasionally we work with clients who price low by design because they get that auction frenzy where multiple people are bidding it and they push past the threshold that we think the price should probably sell at because someone wants it so bad and wants to beat their competitor, it's only human nature, that they will actually move it up to a higher price. That is the dream scenario, and understand that that is science. The market will dictate that. So if you drop your price to a certain point and you're worried you dropped it too much, know that the market will absorb that price and drive it back up to the point it should be at. And if it's not happening, that means your home may still be overpriced, or maybe your home is very much close to what it should be at. So don't ever for 1 minute think you can possibly really underprice a home. The market is very efficient that way. Now, I know I just said there are some really important factors to listen to, but this is the golden rule, people. This is the golden rule of the market, and that is the market is smarter than all of us, and it will dictate the price of your home. i.e., do not fight the market. Work with the market, right? Namaste. Do not fight with the market. Work with the market. Know your motivation and accept the ebbs and flows of the real estate market. That is so important right now because in reality, we have a lot of people saying, send me the comps. What are the comps in my apartment? And the comps aren't so important because the market has shifted already, right? The homes that are going into contract right now will become the new comps if your apartment still sits on the market. And in 3 months, when those post, all of a sudden you're going to say, hey, holy crap, my apartment's worth a lot less than I thought it was. So accept the fate of the market and you will prevail. That is episode 31 this week. Thank you for joining us. And I just want to drop a little teaser, if you will. We are launching, this is Q4, it's crazy to think about, but we are launching a new video series next week. In addition to these Guidance by Glazer videos, as you might know, they are shot live and completely unscripted, no scripts. But we did shoot a video series talking about all of my neighborhood hotspots. For those of you who don't know, I grew up in Manhattan, I grew up in Greenwich Village, and I love talking about the neighborhood. So we shot a video series so you could check out all the things that make it home for me and all the places that maybe some of the people on food shows don't even know about. So make sure you pay attention for those videos, because if you are visiting New York City and you want the true taste of New York, I am the guy to give it to you. And as always, follow us on social media. You can find us Instagram, The Glazer Team, Facebook, Glazer Team, and of course, our fancy new website, glazerteam.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week on another episode of the G by G.